My daughter's phone starts to ring. My daughter's phone was by my side, and the number for my husband was displayed on the screen. "Monica, your father is calling." "Could you play it on speaker?" she says. I did as I was asked and put the phone on speaker. Then I hear the voice of my husband. "Good morning, sweetie. How is she getting along? How's she doing?" "She just woke up." "She's already awake?" My husband expressed surprise. I held my breath because I didn't understand what he was saying. The story of Nora, a 45-year-old woman. I am a stay-at-home mom with a husband and a daughter. My husband and I met through a mutual friend. I was drawn to his purity at the time, and we got married. "Nola, thank you for being a housewife," he said to me. "Should we go on holiday somewhere next time?" "Thank you. Let's go to the spa." "The spa? Haven't been there in a while. Let's go. Let me show you some thanks for taking care of the house." On weekends off, the two of us would go somewhere together in this manner. Since having our daughter, we've also taken her to amusement parks and zoos. However, after 15 years of marriage, my relationship with my husband has cooled. We were considered a mature couple. Every night, I cooked dinner, but my husband usually went out to eat after work and refused to eat my cooking. "Did you go out to eat again? I'm cooking for you as well, so at least say something." "Shut up. Who do you think is providing the food for you? Don't disobey me because I'm the breadwinner in this family." My husband yells at me like this, even when I am scolding him. My husband is employed by a civil engineering and construction firm. My husband is a big man, so when he didn't like what was going on, he would get violent with me. As a result, our relationship has already cooled. This was not always the case. We were once a happy married couple, but this is how our relationship is now. If this was true, I would have divorced him right away, but I have a daughter, so I am sticking with him. My husband's behavior changed about 3 years ago. He used to be a responsible husband, but his attitude shifted abruptly. "I'm home. What's for dinner?" he'd say. "Welcome home. I'll make dinner." "What? It's not ready yet? You are completely useless. I'm going to eat somewhere." "What? It's almost done." "It's normal to have dinner ready for the head of the family when he gets home. Can't you even understand that? Anyway, I'm going out to eat." "Oh, wait!" Initially, he only complained about dinner not being ready. When he was stressed, he gradually became violent. He would cause bruises in inconspicuous places, which was not good. My husband began to change. This year marks my daughter's 3rd year of a junior high school. She has chosen her next school and stays up late studying with her friends and attending cram school to prepare for the entrance exam. My husband and I have a bad relationship, but we act like a normal couple in front of my daughter, so she doesn't know our current situation or that I have been violated. My husband smiles in front of my daughter as if he wants to show her what a good father he is. But my rebellious daughter isn't particularly interested in him. Even if she comes home late, my daughter eats dinner, and she always calls me when she goes out to dinner with friends. My daughter arrived home while my husband was taking a bath. "I'm home, and I'm hungry," she said. "Monica, welcome back. Because it's late, I made a light dinner." "Mom, you're so good. Wait, did Dad abandon dinner once more?" "Oh, I believe he ate outside today. Again? He should at least say something. Monica, you must be sick of studying all the time. No, it's okay. I'm working hard to achieve my goals. Anyway, the side dishes are going to waste. I'd have taken them to school if I could. Thank you, but don't worry about it. Are you sure? Your cooking is amazing. I wish Dad didn't eat out so frequently. She took a bath and returned to her room after finishing her meal. My daughter's going through a hard time, which is why I'm considering living life without defining my husband, because divorce is not an option for me right now. I'm getting used to my husband's cold relationship, but there's one more thing that bothers me. My husband takes our daughter to his parents' house on weekends. My in-laws' house is only a few minutes away by car. My mother-in-law is the only one who lives there now, and he and his mother are very close, so he visits often. It would be fine if it was just my husband, but he always brings Monica with him because she is at a critical juncture in her life. I was also taken to my in-laws' house in the past, but my mother-in-law always harassed me. Nola, will you go shopping for me? She'd ask. Would you mind getting me some ketchup, oil, rice, and of course something to drink? Oh, and instead of driving, ride your bike. Are you sure you can do that? She purposefully asked me to do heavy shopping and forced me to ride my bike. They intentionally harassed me by not preparing meals for me on special occasions, such as New Year's Eve and Thanksgiving. They also treated me as if I didn't exist, so I started refusing to visit my in-laws. Hey, we're going over to my mother's house again this week, my husband would say. No, your mother-in-law will harass me again, I said. What are you on about? Why don't you just do as she says? Why aren't you on my side? Oh, you're such a pain. You don't have to come anymore. As a result, my husband no longer told me he was going to his parents' house. Then he began to take our daughter. My daughter doesn't want to go, as she needs to study, but my husband forces her to. My husband is in a good mood when he returns home from his mother's house and does not hit me, but it's my daughter who worries me. When my daughter returns home from my in-laws' house, she has a gloomy expression on her face and locks herself in her room. My mother-in-law is very protective of my daughter, and I'm sure she hasn't treated her as badly as me. My daughter emerged from her room after my husband had gone to bed. Her face was flushed and she appeared to be crying. Hey, Mom, she said. Is there something wrong? Nothing. I'm going to bed because I have school tomorrow. Are you sure? Okay, good night. My daughter appeared to want to talk, but I didn't want to make her talk, so I had no idea why she was crying. My husband attempted to take my daughter to his mother's house again one weekend. Hey, we're going again today, he said. I'm going, Mom. My daughter soon began going to my in-laws' house without complaining. She was going to return later that day, so I went to the supermarket to get ingredients for dinner. What am I going to cook today? A beef steak would be nutritious. My husband took the car, so I took the bus to the store. I got a severe headache while waiting at the bus stop. Another headache? It's really bad today. I'd been suffering from headaches for 3 weeks. I'd been coping by taking painkillers, but this time The headache was worse than ever. What is this pain? It's agony. I fell to the floor. I was in a hospital room when I woke up a few hours later. A passerby had apparently called an ambulance and taken me to the hospital. The doctor informed me that the cause of my headache was unknown and that I needed to stay in the hospital for tests. My daughter came in after the doctor left the room. She exclaimed, "Mom, are you all right? Got a call from the hospital and rushed here." "Sorry for making you worry. Is your father here too?" "Of course he's not here. I came by myself." "Okay, it looks like I'll be in the hospital for a while." "The doctor told me earlier. I'm sure you're just tired, so rest up." "Thank you very much." My husband was unconcerned about my condition and did not come to the hospital or contact me. Even at a time like this, he never came. My daughter brought me a piece of fruit as I was thinking this. "I got permission, so I brought you some fruits. We can eat it together, and you might feel better." "All right, thank you." My daughter began to place the fruits on a plate. My daughter's cell phone rang at that precise moment. Her phone was by my side with my husband's number displayed on the screen. "Monica, it's Dad calling." "I can't take the call right now. Could you please switch it to speaker?" I did as I was asked and put the phone on speaker. Then I hear the voice of my husband. "Good morning, sweetie. How is she getting along? How's she doing?" "She has just woken up." "She's already awake?" My husband expressed surprise. I held my breath because I didn't understand what he was saying. My daughter, possibly sensing something, took something from her bag. "Hey, isn't it bizarre? I can't believe she's already awake." "What happened to your wife, Hamish?" From afar, I heard my mother-in-law's voice. "She's already awake. Isn't that strange? I used more than usual amount." "More than usual?" I wondered. "You made sure you mix a dog medicine for your wife." "Yes, I started with a small amount, so you couldn't tell, but I put more than usual this time, and it didn't work." "What? Canine medicine?" I looked it up and found that it has a bad effect on the human body, but I guess that's not enough, is it? "I got some sleeping pills from the psychiatrist last time, so I'll just mix it in with them this time." "That sounds good to me." What are these people discussing? If this plan works, we might be able to receive her insurance. That wife needs to go. Isn't that a good strategy? The rest of the plan is also going well. The rest of the plan? They keep talking obviously to the fact that I can hear them. I'll be remarried in no time once she is gone. Monica will be my next target to relieve my stress. When you said you were going to take her child, I was against it, but now that I think about it, I need another outlet for my stress too. Well, she'll be fine. I've properly trained her. She was a bit of a rebel when she first arrived, but now she's under our control. Monica, don't tell her about this. You know what will happen if you do. If her condition suddenly worsens, please contact me right away. See you, I was stunned after hearing the phone disconnect. Next to me, my daughter put away what she had just taken out. "I'm sorry you're not feeling well, Mom," she said. "I'll tell you everything now." So my daughter explained everything that had happened. My husband had an affair with another woman for over 3 years. His mother-in-law was aware of it, and when my husband visited his mother, he took her with him. Taking my daughter to his mother's house was to let my husband gain custody of her, but also to discipline her to make her an outlet for his violence after I left. My daughter had several bruises when she removed her clothes. She claimed that my husband, his mother, and the other woman neglected my daughter and gossiped about me. My daughter initially rebelled, but my husband threatened her with violence if she continued to rebel. My daughter put up with it, endured it in order to protect me, and she kept it a secret from me. Then, while at the in-laws as usual, she overheard that my husband was planning to kill me. My husband intended to start by mixing a small amount of heart medicine for dogs with rice and gradually increasing the amount once I became used to the taste. When my daughter learned about this, she conducted her own investigation in order to obtain proof. When they got the call that I was sick, my husband was overjoyed and told my daughter to go check on me. So my daughter purposefully put the call on speaker so that I could hear. As soon as the conversation began, she took a recording device from her bag and began recording it. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, Mom," she said. "I know it's shocking to learn what he did, but this way we can get a divorce and you can get custody, right? I've been keeping a secret from you. He used to beat me up when you weren't here. I'm sorry for not informing you." "I guess it's both of our faults then. We must now fight back." "If they are arrested, people might call you a daughter of a criminal. Are you all right with that?" "I'll be just fine. I have proof of the violence and am aware of it because I discussed it with a friend, and I'm going to take my mother's maiden name instead of his." "I didn't know you thought this through that much. Let's fight back." So I contacted my lawyer and the police. I told the arriving cops, lawyer, and doctor what had happened. The police discovered heart medication for dogs as well as many internet purchase records at the in-laws. As a result, my mother-in-law, my husband, and the adulterer were arrested for attempted murder. My husband had taken out a large life insurance policy on me and planned to have a good time after the divorce, according to their subsequent statements. They also intended to take custody of our daughter not only to relieve their stress, but also to force her to do housework. He also didn't want to pay child support if we divorced, so he was attempting to gain custody. When I heard the entire story from the cops, I was outraged at how ridiculously my husband's plan was. It is never acceptable to kill, and the mother-in-law and adulterer who agreed to it were insane. My daughter had become the daughter of a criminal, but she didn't seem to mind. My husband and I divorced right away, and my daughter and I changed our surname to my maiden name. We considered changing schools, but my daughter explained the incident to school officials and her classmates. She stressed that her father was the bad guy, so she was not bullied. Her preparation for the entrance exams was successful, and she passed the exam for the nursing school she hoped to attend. Because the nursing school was close to my parents' house, We decided to move in with them after my daughter graduated from high school. When my husband is released from prison, I will file a compensation claim with my lawyer. I was able to leave the hospital a few weeks later feeling much better. I now work from home writing essays and novels on my blog. Perhaps I am clearing up the past by writing essays about how my husband and mother-in-law have treated me, even though I have flashbacks to the trauma of what my husband did to me. My life at home with my daughter without being afraid is very peaceful, and I enjoy it every day. I am confident that the memories of the past will fade gradually over the course of my happy days, and that one day I'll be able to forget them and begin my life anew.
Would you mind paying if you want to hold Lucas? After all, you two are practically strangers to him. What? My husband and I were utterly stunned. Never in our wildest dreams did we imagine we'd have to pay our daughter-in-law to hold our own grandson. My name is Michelle, a 56-year-old homemaker. I live with my husband, who's also 56. We have one son, Tom, who's currently 28. He got married 2 years ago. His wife, Sarah, is 10 years his senior at 38. After graduating college, Tom got a job and moved out on his own. Apparently, Sarah, a senior colleague at his workplace, aggressively pursued him from the get-go. Tom has always been strong in STEM subjects. Throughout high school and college, he was immersed in them. Shy and reserved by nature, he had never dated a woman before. Suddenly, pursued by an older woman at work, Tom was initially reluctant. However, Sarah kept pushing, inviting him to lunch, finding reasons to be near him, and eventually they started going out for drinks. Things escalated quickly from here. When we heard that Tom was marrying a woman 10 years his senior, my husband and I were shocked. But it was Tom's choice, and considering his reserved nature, we thought maybe it was a good thing to be led by an older woman. As wedding preparations progressed, we encountered some surprises. Sarah insisted on changing outfits 5 times during the ceremony. Of course, it was all Sarah's idea. Tom, not one for the spotlight, wasn't thrilled about even having a wedding. But Sarah had her dreams, and one of them was those 5 outfit changes. It's a once-in-a-lifetime wedding. I won't settle for less. A bride is like the star of her own fairy tale, you know. Tom needs to make all my dreams come true. Faced with this, Tom felt he had no choice. The wedding ended up costing much more than anticipated, draining most of the savings Tom had accumulated since started working. During the 5th outfit change at the reception, a male relative whispered to us, "I've never seen a wedding with so many outfit changes. Tom's pretty much wrapped around her finger, huh? He's in for a tough time." I could only laugh. But his words echoed our own thoughts. People complimented Tom on his beautiful wife, but she also seemed quite proud of her beauty. As parents, we couldn't help but worry about their future together. 2 years post-marriage, they had a baby boy. It had been a difficult birth, but we were thrilled when the baby arrived safely. The day after the birth, we rushed to the hospital. Outside the delivery room, Tom seemed restless and uneasy. "Tom, congratulations! That's wonderful!" "Ah, yeah, thanks." "I can't wait to meet the baby. Mind if I come in?" "Well, about that..." "What's the matter? Something wrong?" "No, it's just... Sarah's really tired right now and doesn't want visitors." "What? So we can't see the baby?" "Oh, no." "Alright then. No choice, I suppose. I'll take some photos and send them to your phone." "What about Sarah's parents?" They came by earlier. So they got to meet the baby? Yeah. So we're the only ones who can't. Can't you let us have a peek? Just a quick one. It seems like blood relatives and in-laws are treated differently. Sorry, but could you leave for today? Fine. Tom looked really uncomfortable. Likely, Sarah had asked him to decline visitors from inside the hospital room. Disappointed, we had no choice but to head home. Our son sent us a photo of the baby. Such a cute sleeping face. Seeing it made both my husband and me even more eager to meet the baby. I'd love to hold my first grandchild in my arms. I timed it around Sarah's and the baby's discharge and called my son to arrange a meeting. But we didn't get a favorable response. Sarah would be taking the baby to her parents' home for a while, so it would be difficult. So we waited for the day Sarah would return to their apartment from her parents' home. The baby was named Lucas. Finally, the time came for Sarah and Lucas to return after receiving postnatal care at her parents'. We got our son to agree, and finally, we were going to meet our grandson. We bought clothes, baby gear, and toys for Lucas. On the day of the visit, we went to our son's apartment. "Hello, may we come in?" Upon entering, we saw Lucas on his baby bed. He was energetically moving his arms and legs. He was a cheerful boy. What a lively boy. He's really cute. Next to the baby bed, Sarah stood with a sullen face. Could I hold him for a bit?" Sarah remained silent. Then Tom spoke. "Mom wants to hold Lucas, is that okay?" My son repeated my request to Sarah. He seemed like he was really treading on eggshells around her. Finally, the silent Sarah spoke. "You two are strangers to me. If you want to hold Lucas, will you pay?" "What?" We were frozen in disbelief. Strangers? "Yes, I married Tom, but you are strangers to me and to Lucas. I don't want him casually held by just anyone. If you insist on holding him, I guess we'll have to set a fee." "A fee? But Lucas is our grandchild." "Exactly. And Sarah, didn't your parents get to hold Lucas?" "Of course, they're my parents." "In that case, we should also… Look, I'm talking from my own perspective here. I married Tom, not the two of you. You're complete strangers to me. What if you drop Lucas or somehow get him sick? How are you planning to take responsibility?" "Responsibility, you say?" "I'm on maternity leave now, but I've been with my company for years, always managing risks. To let a newborn be held by complete strangers who have no intention of taking responsibility is naive, don't you think?" Sarah's condescending tone left us, including my husband, dumbfounded. People with your mentality wouldn't last a day at my company. Also, just because Tom and I married doesn't mean we're all suddenly a family. I like to keep boundaries clear. Do you understand? Sarah gesticulated with us as she told us. Sarah animated gestures as if scolding subordinates. She seemed not only good-looking, but also very confident in her long-standing career. She probably talks like this at work too. You could easily guess what the power dynamics between her and Tom, who was 10 years younger, must have been like in their workplace. That hierarchy seemed to have transferred to their marriage. Tom looked surprised at Sarah's words and gave us an apologetic look. But he couldn't muster up any words to counter her. "Let's just go." "All right." And so we left Tom's apartment without even getting to hold Lucas. We had our concerns before, but we never thought it'd come to this. We realized Sarah wants nothing to do with us, and Tom seems completely controlled by her, unable to voice his own opinions. It's harsh to call us strangers, isn't it? Yeah, I never thought we'd hear something like that. Pay money if you want to hold your grandson. But Lucas was so cute. He was. We had this conversation on our way home. Even after we got home, we couldn't stop talking about what had happened. We concluded that there is no other choice but to let go of our hopes. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd get to hold our grandson and have a good relationship with our son and daughter-in-law. But with everything spelled out like that, we've got to move on. True, at the end of the day, Tom chose to marry Sarah. Yes, what's important is that they're happy. I won't harbor wishes like wanting to hold our grandson or having family dinners anymore. Although I was concerned about whether Tom is really happy in such a situation, I realized it's not our place to question our son's marital choices. If that's how Sarah feels, we have no choice but to adapt. If we forcibly try to do anything, it might make Tom uncomfortable. And so, we lost contact with our son's family. 2 years passed like this. Then one day, we received a call from our son after a long time. "Hello, Mom, it's been a while." "Tom, how have you been?" "Oh yeah, I'm alright. What's going on?" "Well, Sarah and I are thinking about moving out of our apartment and buying a house." "Oh, really?" "Yeah, so I was wondering if you could help us out financially." "What?" I listened as Tom explained the details. After Sarah's maternity leave ended, she returned to work, but she had conflicts with a co-worker who had stepped up in her absence. In the end, Sarah quit her job. Now, she's a stay-at-home mom. After that, Sarah seems to have met other moms through her children. Sarah made some mom friends and got inspired by one of who lived in a house, not an apartment. She got excited about moving into a better home. After some house hunting, Sarah fell in love with a newly built home. Tom wasn't exactly thrilled, given their financial situation, but Sarah pushed ahead almost to the point of signing a contract. The down payment was higher than expected, which was a problem. Sarah suggested asking for our help. Sarah says it's a parent's duty to help out when their child is stuck. When we said we wanted to see our grandchild, she told us to pay up. Now she wants our help. Convenient, isn't it? I do feel bad about that. Well, let's put that behind us. As for the money, I have no intention of helping. Oh, alright then. If you can't afford it, live within your means. If you need parental support for something, maybe it's better to skip it. You're right, Mom. You've always been sensible, Tom. I don't know why you even had to ask. I guess so. Sorry for the awkward request. More importantly, are you happy right now? I'm not sure. Tom ended the call. The next day, the doorbell rang. My husband was out and I was home alone. Sarah showed up. Tom was with the kids at a nearby park. I needed to talk to you, my mother-in-law. What is it? Tom said you won't help us financially. That's correct. Don't you think that's harsh? Your own son is asking for help. The house will be under his name. He is the breadwinner. How can you ignore him? Isn't that too cold? I was taken aback for a moment when Sarah barged into my house and started giving me a piece of her mind. Just my luck, my husband isn't home. It's just me. I braced myself, realizing that I had no choice but to stand my ground. Sarah, what gives you the right to walk into this house? Huh? Weren't we total strangers? Sarah froze, locking eyes with me but saying nothing. My son can buy or live wherever he pleases. It's none of my business. He's an adult. If he can't afford it, then he should live within his means. Especially when it comes to you, a complete stranger telling me to fund his home purchase. I have no such obligation. But your son is actually struggling financially. Are you going to abandon him? Indeed, Tom has left the nest. Sarah was dumbfounded and silent. Moreover, it's not just Tom's house. It's where you will live too, right? Why should we help someone unrelated like you? Shouldn't you be asking your own parents for help? My family can't afford to help right now. Then you should give up on buying a house and stay in your current apartment. At this, her face turned red and she looked furious. Isn't it a parent's role to help out at times like this? Sorry to disappoint. It's different from your ideal, just like you're different from mine. What? Are you saying I'm not your ideal daughter-in-law? How rude! You've been rude too. Remember when you told us to pay up if we wanted to hold our grandchild? How dare you say that to your in-laws? I'm not really matched with my husband, am I? What? I rushed into marriage because I was 36 and desperate. I married Tom because he seemed obedient. To be honest, any groom would have done at that time. So, I think he should be grateful that a high-level woman like me married an average guy like him. Wow, you actually said that out loud. Don't you agree? It's a miracle that a woman like me is married to a man like him. That's why I believe it's natural for me to live in the house of my dreams. So, you wanted to brag about owning a home? So what? Isn't that normal? Yet here we are. Tom can't even make the down payment. I told him to ask his family for help, but everyone's so useless. Just then, Tom walked into the living room. Tom, when did you... Were you listening this whole time? Yes, I was curious about what was going on because I heard loud voices. I've been listening at the front door. So that's why you married me, Sarah. Sarah was visibly startled when Tom burst into the room. Tom's previous look of confusion was gone. His eyes seemed calm, but there was a distinct undertone of anger. Mom, could you play with Lucas in the other room for a bit? Sure. I took Lucas into the adjacent room and closed the door. This was the first time I was directly interacting with Lucas. Voices from the living room started filtering through the door. I reached my breaking point. Breaking point? Do you mean what you said earlier? Who do you think you are? What's with that tone, Tom? You think it's okay to speak to me like that? Enough. What? You should be grateful you even got to marry someone like me, a man who's never even had a girlfriend before. Grateful? Weren't you the one who said you'd marry anyone who came along? You should be the grateful one. I'd never heard Tom raise his voice like this before. Something must have severely damaged his ego, or perhaps he was letting out pent-up frustrations. You kept saying you loved me, chasing me around. At first, I was hesitant, but then thought I could build a family with you. Turns out, you just wanted to use me to say you're married. You never even loved me, bossing me around and even telling my parents they should pay if they want to see their grandson. And now, you want them to help us buy a house. Knowing all this makes everything seem ridiculous. Sarah seemed a bit flustered hearing this. I didn't say that was all true. Lies. I'm done being deceived and used. Our marital power dynamics were skewed from the beginning. I'm not living just to be controlled by you. And I don't want Lucas to grow up seeing such a pathetic mom. It's over. Let's separate. What? No way. I absolutely want to live in that house. I finally found my dream home. I can't give it up. I've always dreamed of inviting friends over for home parties. A loveless marriage in a fancy house just leads to unhappiness. If you want to show off so badly, buy a house yourself. Don't act so high and mighty. Don't command me. That's my line. Such an intense battle unfolded in our living room. I had never seen my son this fired up. Later, it turns out that Sarah had been having several affairs with her former boss. She would sneak out during the day to meet him while leaving Lucas at her parents' home. Learning this, Tom was completely dumbfounded. She was the kind of woman who had a lot of pride, but she was also had a weakness for men who complimented her looks and treated her as if she were special. That was the final straw. Tom and Sarah got officially divorced. Lucas ended up living with Tom. Instead of buying her own house, Sarah found herself being sued for alimony by Tom. She did manage to find a job after some job hunting, but couldn't get along with people, so she quit. Now she seems to be bouncing from job to job. Her looks, once her pride, now seem to have faded away. Since Tom was busy with his work, my husband and I took over caring for Lucas completely. Mom, I'm really sorry for all the trouble I've caused. I should have been more careful in choosing a life partner. That's okay. Everyone makes mistakes, but we all have to cooperate to raise Lucas well. You're right. I'm just glad to see you've become such a responsible adult, Tom. You think you're a much more reliable person now than when you just listened to whatever your wife said. If Lucas grows up seeing a father like that, he's bound to turn out to be a fine adult as well. And so, we live happily as a family of 4, my husband, my son, Lucas, and me. I take great joy in being able to help my son and grandson. Tom is still young, and I secretly hope she meets someone who truly loves and supports him, and, of course, cherishes Lucas too.